Okay, y'all, I said I would do this, and I'm going to do it now, because, again, I believe that algorithmic censorship is a real thing right now. It is a real problem on YouTube and elsewhere. So I'm typing in Franklin scandal. All right, let's see what comes up when I type in Franklin scandal. Sold for sex trafficking in Nebraska. Speaking of Nebraska, human trafficking. Oh, God. All right, so the first two things that come up are not related to the Franklin scandal, but they are about human trafficking. And they are about Nebraska, which is interesting. The third thing that comes up is Boys Town building families, and this is you click on this link, and it's a positive. It's from Nebraska Public Media, and it's a hagiographic depiction of Boys Town, and I think Boys Town has probably done a lot of good in its history, but it did unfortunately play a role in the Franklin scandal, and very interesting. It's the third video that you get when you type in Franklin scandal. Okay, so now we get to inside the Franklin scandal with Nick Bryant. So the fourth one down. Something on RT that actually is about the Franklin scandal and with Nick Bryant, who wrote a book on the Franklin scandal. So that's not as bad. Algorithmic burying of this story as I thought there would be. And we continue down. Child psychologist investigates Omaha cases. He and a group of Omaha residents went to expose an alleged pedophile. I doubt that's about. I don't think this is about the Franklin scandal. But it is related to Omaha, and it is really. In fact, let's watch it for a moment and see. Oh man. All right, I checked just now, and this video about child psychologist investigates Omaha cases. This is not about the Franklin scandal. It is about an alleged pedophile in Omaha, but not any of the ones mentioned in the Franklin scandal. Okay, and then Kirk Franklin love theory. Was Ben Franklin in a sex cult? Franklin case file. Okay, an unrelated case. And then another. This is the same video as the one above, which is set in Omaha, and it's about child abuse, child molestation, but it's not about the Franklin scandal. Okay, and then we go further down, and that's when we finally hit. There's Let's Play the Franklin cover-up horror game, RPG game, which I watched. That was interesting. And finally, we hit some pay dirt, about 10 spaces down, Conspiracy of Silence, which is the documentary that was made in the 90s and then got canceled, and they tried to destroy all copies of it. But one copy was saved. This is the story that I have heard. And that one copy of this documentary, which is all about the Franklin scandal, all about the things that went down in Omaha with the Franklin Savings and Loan and the exposure of various luminaries, both business and political luminaries, both local and national. This was, again, they kicked dirt over it, they forced it underground. Okay, so you go down, and then there's more stuff that's unrelated. So that's what happens when you type in for the Franklin scandal. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Let's see if I just type in conspiracy of silence. I have now typed in conspiracy of silence Franklin scandal. Let's see what comes up here. The first things that come up are, and I don't know why the thumbnail's not showing up over here. I don't know if we've got connectivity issues, but the first thing is the continuing legacy of Boys Town. Again, the same laudatory depiction of Boys Town. That's what they put at the top. Oops, I conspiracy of salience. All right, let me just see if spelling it correctly changes anything. Okay, and then they've got conspiracy of silence film trailer, conspiracy of silence documentary. This is a documentary reference in the Who Took Johnny documentary. Okay. And then more stuff about pedophile rings and stuff. So yeah, enter conspiracy of silence Franklin scandal, and the first thing you see is something positive about Boys Town, but the second thing you see is related to the documentary that they tried so hard to kick under the rug, conspiracy of silence, and the third thing you see is the actual documentary itself. All right, so that's pretty good. That's as far as burying it algorithmically. That's not so bad. They put the Boys Town, a positive documentary about Boys Town, on top before you see the Franklin scandal stuff. But as for the rest of it, it's not really as much of an algorithmic problem. Now, let me do this. All right, now I've typed in George Bush New World Order speech. Now, the first thing that ought to come up, if there's no algorithmic monkey business, the first thing that ought to come up is George Bush Sr. giving a speech on September 11th, 1990, a speech to the nation where he talks about the New World Order. He mentions it by name. But, as we see, first thing is this bit of this curation, telling you how to feel about something. The New World Order is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, it was mentioned directly by George Bush, President of the United States, on September 11th, 1990, in a speech to the nation. But, okay, let's scroll down here. Bush reflects on the American dream. President H.W. Bush announces Persian Gulf War. GTO pledges New World Order with $5 trillion plan. What? That's weird. G20 pledges New World Order. So they talked about a New World Order, and this is 12 years ago. But they're showing us that ahead of George Bush's speech. New economy, new media, and the New World Order. Well, I don't know what that is. Ahmadinejad calls for a New World Order? Okay. Highlights from Bush's 1988 RNC speech, a New World Order. Joe Biden's warning about the collapse of the world order. What does that have to do with anything? Forum on 2019. So they are showing places where people in leadership positions, I would say in rulership positions, there's a difference in connotation between calling someone your leader and calling someone your ruler. I don't think of any of them as my leader. And I don't think of them as my ruler either, but they do technically have the political power to assert rulership over me. And there's lots of stuff about George Bush. And then there's this, we explain the New World Order conspiracy theory. Former presidents speak at relief concert. George Bush inaugural address. Nothing about George Bush name checking, calling the New World Order by name. Chomsky New World Order since World War II. I asked Bill Gates, what's the next crisis? Oh boy. And then there's stuff about the Baj and the so-called pandemic and all that. George H.W. Bush says he's occasionally patted women's rears. I forgot about this. Okay. So, as you can see, we've scrolled down a long, long way. There's stuff about George Bush. There's stuff about Bush giving speeches. There's stuff about Bush giving inaugural addresses. And there's stuff about New World Order, where New World Order is mentioned. But we don't, buried far deep underneath any of this is the speech where George Bush mentioned the New World Order by name. You can still find it elsewhere, but you can't find it on YouTube by typing it in the way I did here. You type that in, and they give you a bunch of stuff, some related, some semi-related, some completely unrelated. This is proof that there's algorithmic monkey business happening, and there are certain things they don't want you to look up, certain things they don't want you to find. Okay, now I'm gonna, since we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, let's see what they have for us when we type in a new Pearl Harbor 9/11 documentary. A new Pearl Harbor is the name of a long but very interesting, quite hypnotically fixating, powerful documentary about 9/11 and all the lies that are told about it. But you see, early show 9/11 in Pearl Harbor, Tale of 2 Days, Pearl Harbor 9/11 parallel text, Cultures of War, Pearl Harbor, Hiroshima, and there's just stuff about Pearl Harbor, and then there's Hiroshima, Pearl Harbor. Kate Beckinsale teaches Stephen to speak Russian on the Stephen Colbert Show. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? That comes up when you type a new Pearl Harbor 9/11 documentary into. Okay, and now a little ways down you get the full documentary. So it's buried, and then you can see it in different parts, and then there's 9/11 conspiracy theories, debunking the conspiracy theories, and then there's just stuff that. All right, so you can find a new Pearl Harbor, but it's somewhat buried. Not as buried as the George Bush speech, but it is somewhat buried. All right, I'll stop here, but I just think it's interesting to see how things are buried, how they're deliberately hiding things from us.